Minister Chris Bowen and his department have set aside more than $4 million of taxpayer money for luxury accommodation in Fiji, where foreign bureaucrats will attend an event ahead of the climate summit known as Conference of the Parties, or COP. Mr Bowen, as co-president for the conference, is in charge of the expenditure, which includes hosting delegations across 3 different 5-star resorts. And while some countries will pay back their own costs, Australia will cover the spend for other delegations. For their take, let's bring in 2GB presenter James Willis, who's been on holidays basically for a long time, and founding director of Western Sydney Women, Amanda Rose. Good morning to you.
Morning.
James, so Australia has attended the COP conferences for many times. This is like a pre-COP conference. What do you think of the expenditure?
Well, it's slightly different, Nat, because Chris Bowen has this second job, and a lot of Aussies now have a second job, which is okay, but when you are the energy minister and Australians are struggling with their energy bills across the board, I would have thought that was a full-time 38-hour commitment at the very least. But he's bid for this other job on the global scale. Now, I was of the view and of the understanding that this was entirely separate and those costs would be picked up at all times by the UN or whatever the body is, COP31. In this case, it looks like Australia is paying to host other delegates in Fiji at the expensive part of Fiji. I think it's outrageous. I think it's a terrible waste of money, and if it costs Australians $1, then it should be repaid. I mean, it's ridiculous, and I don't think it's in the national interest to be occurring.
Amanda, it's the Sheraton, the Sofitel, the Radisson. Could they have just gone a bit more 2-star, do you think?
I don't know where to begin with this. So he's head of negotiations, that's his title. It actually costs us $150 million, I believe, for him to actually have that title, which would pay, I think, rent for about over 4,000 people for the year with that type of money. So I think right now it's a bit of a disgrace that we take taxpayer money and just throw it around. And think about it, we could have had COP. He's head of negotiations and pulled out of having it in Adelaide, which would have brought $200 million to the local economy and helped small business if we actually held it. But we're paying $150 million for him to be the EA to book accommodation for other people that they might not pay back.
We don't know.
I think it's a disgrace.
It's not clear how much will be paid back. Some of it will be, though.
Well, I know, but I mean, at the end of the day, it just the whole thing just appears to be out of touch. And I would have thought if it's a climate conference in another country, then let's do these things on Zoom. Why do we need to go and check in?
There's an idea.
Yeah.
We might
put your sandals on and your Hawaiian shirt to the golf resort in Fiji.
Because it's not COP, it's the pre-COP.
That's right.
Which is even worse, but it's a mockery.
So it's a recce.
But it's basically a mockery of the people who can't even afford their electricity price. They can't even afford food. And here they are spending millions of dollars to have titles and to show off in front of the world. And we're getting nothing out of this.
OK, we might put in a call to the government, see why they can't do the pre-COP on Zoom.
That's right.
Or Teams.
That's exactly.
As lots of companies now do it, and see what the reason is why they can't do.
And once upon a time, companies did do a recce, and they did say, look, there's a big conference on, we're going to show up 2 weeks before and make sure the facilities are okay and the conference rooms are okay. That was normal. We used to do those in media. They were good fun.
Yeah,
but those budgets are gone. They're gone.
That was called the 1980s.
Yes, well, 90s, yeah.
Were you born
2000s.
then?
No.
Yeah, those days are gone. Moving on, Energy Network.